How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Nice meeting you both.
Nice to meet you too.
You both look great together, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be on my show, and it's really a great honor and pleasure to have both of you on my show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I will just start with a little bit introduction about you both, and then we'll go from there, starting about talking about your documentary, which is like it was really amazing. I watched it and I was so impressed. It was like so emotional. It was so connected with me because I was also in some of these camps that you actually, Dr. Jose, you've been there too. So I was also living there for 2 years with my family. I have Dr. Jose Polo, who is an HIV specialist from Colombia. He filmed Don't Forget Them in the spring of 2019, traveling as a volunteer to help with the medical need at the United Nations refugee camp near Duhok, Kurdistan. And I also have Kim Polo, is the owner of Castlemore Production LLC and is a photographer and filmmaker. She's also the producer of Don't Forget Them, a documentary about refugee in Kurdistan. She's currently working on a digital media course for Sinjar Academy. Dr. Jose and Kim, welcome to DAWOODSHOW.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for having us here. It's an honor for both of us.
It's a great pleasure and honor to have you both. So I would just like to ask you how the idea of making a documentary about the refugees in Kurdistan region of Iraq, and especially about the Yazidis and also refugees and displaced people in Kurdistan, how that idea came to.
Want to start?
Okay. So I think I had been following the news for a while. My brother was actually working there and was taking trips back and forth over the years from 2016, 17, 18. And in 2019, he had just come back from a trip and we were just sitting at having a meal and he was showing me the footage. So I just conversations with him. I was surprised, especially with the fact that it had been so many years since the genocide and everyone was still living in tents. And so we were having conversations. Why are they still in tents? Why are some people not? And they are. So and at the same time, you were interested in going. So we were just having conversations and he wanted to volunteer and he knew he could help as a doctor. And then.
Well, in fact, I, hear her talking to her brother, about all the problematic in Kurdistan and about the refugee camps. And, when I, learned all this, I was strongly interested in going to Kurdistan and help a little bit. It's not that I'm not familiar with what's going on because I'm actually a Colombian. I'm from Colombia, and we have a lot of political internal problems there. Now we have some issues with refugees from Venezuela. So they're having also an issue there. So I'm very familiar with all this. So I got very quickly interested in going to Kurdistan and help myself.
Yeah, and that's great. I have watched your trip to Kurdistan. It was amazing, and I know when we talk about like a place like Iraq or Kurdistan in US, like most of the people are so anxious when we talk about. That area. It's just like people think it's very dangerous. A lot of wars going on. So how did you get the courage to just take a trip to go to Kurdistan? And I have watched like you have been to like many camps and you met a lot of people. So how did you feel going there?
Well, listen, it's the most emotional, interesting, actually time of my life after actually my married and having my kids. But, and what you're saying is true. Not only American, I guess, I believe, in some other countries as well, they get a little bit anxious with hear about Iraq, and Kurdistan and what's going on. But you know what? At the same time, we don't realize that these are actually internal kind of problems, and the fact that there are some groups that are not helping with the problem inside Kurdistan, also Syria, and I'm talking specifically about ISIS, all what they do with the Yazidis, in Syria in general. So you associate Iraq, Syria with all these groups. And what we don't understand sometimes, the people don't understand sometimes, is that media sometimes is can manipulate a little bit what is the truth. And my truth is, when I went there, I met the most amazing people I can't even describe. I fell in love with Kurdistan, with their people. I went to Duhok. I was so welcomed by, the Kurdish people that I actually feel identified with you guys a lot. I get emotional. I mean, you can even see me, I get emotional when I talk about Kurdistan, because all I want to do is come back. At some point, we're having some issues now with, COVID. Thank God it's getting better. But, my will and my, my heart's there. My heart's there. I would like to come back and help again.
That's amazing. I was actually like, I want to ask you if you are even thinking about going back there, like after you have been there once. And also, like, I know that, like, for me, after I came to US, like, my diet has been changed. So I so miss the food there.
Yes.
Everything. And I seen that you are also, you learn speaking some words, in
yeah. Well, I forgot it, but Supas is the most biggest house,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful. Listen, that's the word that I actually use the most, because I was so thankful with everybody. I remember going to the Domis camp. This family invited me over, and they were so nice to me. They gave me what they don't have. They gave me, the best they had with them. They were so nice. They were so kind. That touched my heart, actually. In fact, that made me realize how happy a person or a family can be with almost nothing.
Exactly.
And sometimes, today I feel like sometimes, I think that having less is actually better. It's you learn a lot of things. So that's one of the things I learned over there.
Absolutely. And one of the things that over there is also part of the culture is that, especially when it's inviting somebody to their house, generosity, also like sharing, like food. If they have like just a small meal, they would share with whoever their guest, and they will invite everybody to their house, regardless if they have money to get food or not. They will just find something for that person.
Yes.
Cam, so I know that a lot of people are not interested about Yazidis, and you produced Don't Forget Them, which is like, it's for me, it was a great documentary, and it has won so many awards in so many festivals. So how did you take that step that I want to produce this film about these people, even though like there's not so much on media or films about that group or refugees in general in Middle East or in Iraq?
It was, I would say, a very just simple thought process of, I thought if more people knew about the problem, more people would be willing to help. It just came from that. I think since I've made it, I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of people. I've followed a lot of the Yazidi organizations and people like yourself and activists. And I've just, I think over time, I've become more inspired and want to help more. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of great things. But I also agree a lot. And part of the reason was I actually thought I would be interacting more with just regular people and Americans. Just like sort of showing them what's going on. Because like you said, I think people are just like, oh, Iraq, I don't know. I don't like, they don't want to have an opinion because it's too complicated even.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to show them a part of it, an aspect of it. And I think in, you know, raising awareness, if you don't know about it, you don't care about it. So I thought, I mean, how could you see that and not care and not want to help?
Yeah.
And trying to get, like you are doing as well, trying to get more people involved in however they can, if it's law, if it's medicine, if it's politics, whatever it is, to just, I think when there's a social movement behind it, that it can really influence policy. So we're hoping for that.
And I totally agree with you that, and I feel like with the Yazidis as a small minorities in Middle East, we are just like that small circle, and we are adding to that circle. Now we have like more people who are hearing about what happened to the Yazidis. Also, they're voluntarily going, like Dr. Jose, to go there and be with people there and see the situation and better understand our culture, why we have been persecuted all this time. So I just feel that that circle is growing until we find a justice for our people. And I'm so happy that we have people like both of you and a lot of other individuals who are willing to take this step, even if it's kind of like very unknown for most of the people, but taking that step to help those people in need. Dr. Jose, you described so well in the documentary the situation. You went to the camps, you walked the streets, you met a lot of people. Can you tell us about that experience, meeting those peoples, and also some of the medical condition for the people in those camps?
Yeah, well, the most of the medical conditions are just the regular medical conditions that you can find anytime in anywhere in the world. You know, you find a lot of diabetes, have high blood pressure, people with thyroid disease, for example. It's very interesting medical conditions that they were very rare, and then I was like surprised to find things like that. Like, for example, I found some kind of genetic issue in one of the patients, but you know what? That was just one that I found. Everything else was just regular, general chronic diseases that you can find anytime anywhere in the world. And then and this is what is a little bit sad about. It's the fact that these people they don't have access to those medications unless somebody put together a container of medication, take them there, have a doctor, have all this help from even the United Nations. I don't know how far they go, in terms of healthcare over there, but I can tell you that volunteers might do a better job, because we want to we do it, and we want to keep doing it. We want to keep going. We want to keep in touch with our patient, the culture, the experience, all that. So, and I believe creating conscious in creating awareness with this documentary can help us with that goal of bringing more help to Kurdistan in order to actually help all those refugees inside the Kurdish territory.
How about the psychological condition for some people, especially like those people who escaped from ISIS, who were actually ISIS captivity, and they lived through that trauma, and they now, many of them now, they have PTSD and other chronic condition, and also living in those camps, like you showed that there was like a lot of water shortage. It was very poor condition.
Yeah, trauma is very big there. Talking about psychological issues, trauma is big, obviously, because all the problems and the issues that Yazidi people and also some Syrian people had lived during this nonsense war with ISIS. But trauma is a big issue. A lot of, my understanding, there was some suicide as well, issues with, inside the camps. But I believe King can tell you a little bit more about that. Because, have you heard talk to your brother who can, have told you a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean,
that.
It's funny because when I talk to you, I feel like you already know all of this. So, but a lot of people don't. But there's a lot of problems with trauma, with PTSD, suicide, depression, just not, not caring or wanting to continue because of all of the sad things and problems that have happened. There are organizations that create trauma programs, and they're 3-month courses. You graduate from them just teaching life skills, teaching English, having something to look forward to and a skill that can help. The documentary talks about this too, but something to give you hope and want to wake up the next day and keep working on things. So it's a lot of that. Yeah.
So Kim, in your opinion, did the West respond in a good way to the Yazidi genocide and crisis?
So I've thought a lot about this question, and the short answer is no, not enough has been done. But a longer answer, if I may, I would say there's probably 3 major topics that need to happen, either with the West, the international community, and with Iraq. And that would be, I would say, number 1 is find and rescue the kidnapped Yazidi who are still missing. 2,763 people are still missing. If you compare that to when someone goes missing in the States, you have the FBI, local enforcement, an Amber Alert if they're a minor. You have massive thousands of people looking for one. So that, number 1, needs to happen. Number 2, justice, either an international tribunal or some sort of court for the thousands of ISIS who have been captured, that nobody's facing any repercussions for, murder and all of the crimes that they've committed. And then creating safety and security in the region. So no more, invasions, no more bombs dropping on schools or hospitals. And I think those things need to happen within the international community. But there's so many ways. I think presidents are meeting today who are talking about this. And I think the more pressure that is put and the more awareness that is raised and forced them to discuss it and to say, do not do this anymore, do not drop bombs anymore, and stand up for the Yazidi and the region. I just, those things have to happen. And I think there's been a lot of, the Yazidi have waited for people to help. And I think now there's y'all have become more organized, and the problem is getting attention, but more attention. It just has to be solved. It can't just keep going on. You're just going to have more tents. People can't go home. They can't, you have people stuck at the border. You have no hope. You have no future. And I don't think it's asking too much either. Finding people who are missing, justice for crimes that have been committed, and create stability. Maybe that is a lot to ask, but it needs to happen. So,
and actually, that's all that Yazidis are asking, to find the safety, to bring their people who are missing by ISIS, and also to find justice for the Yazidi people. Dr. Jose, if you describe your best moment in Kurdistan, what are some of the best moments that you lived in the camp in Kurdistan in general?
Well, my best moments actually they were with the kids, when I was with the kids, and when I met some orphans as well, these kids that have no parents, they broke my heart, but at the same time, fill my heart with hope, because you know what, they are so brave, even though, their parents are not there, they still rely on, they count with their uncles and cousins that are, around, but they're so how can I say,
resilient.
Resilient, exactly, yes, and strong. They have a strong personality. They want a better future for the Kurdish people, for the Yazidi people. They want a better future, and they want to grow and be somebody, and and have a good role within their community. So kids are the future. Kids are the future, and again, my best moments were when I was around the kids, listening to their stories and listening to the stories of hope.
Do you feel like there's any hope, like for the Yazidis? Like, I know that Yazidis are so resilient, like they don't lose hope. But how do you feel about that situation?
I feel like hope. There is hope, because and in fact, this is for what this documentary for, and many documentaries I've seen around as well. And I feel like the voice is spreading around the world. I feel like this is the way you start with the movement. The movement is just not only one voice; it's that voice passing to other, and the voice, getting louder and louder and louder until it makes so much noise, or enough noise that people say, "Hey, listen, we have something to do. We have to do something about the Yazidi people. We have to do something about the situation. We have to do something about war. We have to do something about refugees, not only in the areas but around the world as well."
That's absolutely true. Kim and also Dr. Jose, what makes me really happy is that after you help the Yazidis, you also become so connected with the community. Like I have seen you on social media. You're more active than me in terms of the Yazidis. So how that type of friendship or relation started up?
I mean, it started slowly. Like I said, I thought I would be on social media, talking to just regular Americans, like, oh, what's this about? Who are they? And it hasn't been like that. I mean, like you said, there's a brotherhood, or I think you build each other up, I mean, I would say, even for people who are trying to get involved, or if you want to take a first step in how to help, follow the people who are doing this amazing work, like yourself, and support them, like them, retweet them, like whatever it is. That doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost anything to be supported, to say good job, to say, hey, let me share this with my friend, because maybe they would find this interesting, and maybe they know someone who can help. I mean, just sort of networking and sharing. And I've seen it over the last few years. It's really building. So
like in the way that Dr. Jose was playing with kids and bringing them a ball, like a football, make them happy. So we are living for those moments. Like for me personally, I feel like all is about sharing, about taking care of each other, about making communication. Otherwise, there's no way I would be sitting here talking to you if it was not for a project like this. So thank you so much, Dr. Jose, for all the amazing work, for the medical assistance that you provided for refugees in the camps. Thank you, Kim, for the taking the step to make this documentary, which is an amazing documentary, to show the condition, the happy moments, also the emotional moments, the condition of the people who survived the genocide. Thank you so much both for also being on DAWOODSHOW. And I would like to just ask you what's your message to the international community, to everybody around, when it comes to term like bringing justice to the Yazidis, helping the refugees in general. What's your message to the international community?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has been made crystal clear what needs to happen. There's a lot of organizations, institutions, with the US, with the UN, with NATO. Everybody knows what's going on. They just need to take the right steps. They need to take the moral, ethical, correct steps to prevent more harm. And that, not only in the Middle East, but everywhere. I mean, there are steps that you can take that prevent more pain. So I just encourage lawmakers and the people who are making those decisions to, make the decision with your heart and think about people's lives.
Well, I will give a message mostly directly towards what I do, which, I'm a doctor, I'm a physician, and I will encourage those physicians around the world to come to the area, to contact this organization that are able to, show us around and, help us with all the logistics to, help people at the refugee camps in Kurdistan. If you are a doctor, if you are a psychologist, if you are a nurse, if you're a medical student that she's finishing a medical school, this is an opportunity. This is will be a learning experience for you, not only on your knowledge, on your clinical part, but as a person. You will learn not only to what's going on in Kurdistan, you will learn to be more humble, nicer, kind to people, and that's my message to everybody.
And those are wonderful messages. And I also add my voice to your voice. Also, you could be a reason to change lives, not only life of one person, but lives of so many people. They need somebody to just grab their hands and say, hey, there is hope. There are some people I personally talk to them. They have been through a lot. They just need some support. They just need some voices telling them that there is some hope, they could actually overcome those obstacles. Thank you so much for you both. You are amazing as a couple, as the work that you do for refugees around the world, and for your documentary, which is amazing. Thank you so much for being on DAWOODSHOW.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.